new feature to preserve the shape. And the program for today, the agenda is a small introduction of the job definition. We will do the implant retained case and the cement retained case with 2 anterior crowns. So over here, once again, the job definition, where you can see here, pull to margin or preserve tooth library shape. Here, once again, a small screenshot from the software. Here we have placed the frame, and here's the adaptation, and it doesn't look really well in this case. If we have chosen, for an example, the preserved tooth library shape, they will stay the tooth where they are, and then we will adapt later on the next step the frame to the implant. And the same, what we will do is the same for 2 anterior crowns with dies, and here also we can preserve the tooth shape. One important note is the same as usual in our software. You can do whatever you like. Also later on, if you have forgot something and you would like to change it, later on you can always open the expert mode and select the library model to Pontic. That's converting this crown or this Pontic or this tooth to a Pontic, and you can use this feature. So, and that's what I would like to say. Your freedom is our passion. That means also if you have forgot to set up something, you can always change it. So over here, I will load at first our small case with the 2 anterior crowns. One important note, here I have chosen pull to margin, and on the second one I will choose the new function preserve tooth library shape. One important note also, we have realized that not everyone knows all the key features on our keyboard. As you know, maybe for an example, if I've chosen the adjacent tooth and I'd like to copy this one to the next one, I can use Control and Shift, for an example, to copy this tooth. But also what we can do is we can drag and drop this tooth to another one. Also, if I have chosen, for an example, this anatomic crown and I would like to use it on this tooth, it's always possible to drag and drop. Also, if I have done a mistake, I can choose an empty one and drag it to this one, and it's automatically cleared. I don't have to open the menu to clear this tooth and click OK. That's really fast to define my jobs in my DB. In this case, we have only these 2 front teeth or these 2 front dies and only 1 stone model. So if I'm starting the design, so I can load my upper jaw. So I will check my scan orientation. I can continue. So on my dongle, I have activated the Smile Creator module. And here in my settings on Tools and Settings, I can select if I like to have Smile Creator allowed in Wizard. That means at any case where I have chosen more than 1 framework in the anterior part, in the front, crowns or bridge or veneers, the wizard step of the Smile Creator is starting automatically. If I don't like to use it all the time, I can deactivate it over here. But in this case, I will have it and I can easily skip this if I'm clicking next. So then we have to define our margin lines. Okay, by clicking, 1 click, I have the first proposal for the margin line. I can check my margin line. If it's okay, I can continue with the next one. So also over here with the second one, I will continue the first check. And here on my correct and draw tab, I can easily activate my margin line to change the position and correct the margin if it's not perfect. So otherwise we can continue. So over here we have the crown bottom step, the wizard step. I don't explain it in detail. Only important here, the insertion direction, the arrows are green, everything is okay. We don't have undercuts in the margin region. What I can do if I'm having a long anterior teeth, I can add another zone on top in the occlusal part, for an example 0.1, and I can paint on top a little bit of cement gap if I'd like to have a little bit spacer here on top. The border of the crowns will be like this in 0.2. It's for zircon oxide, it's perfectly, and undercuts I don't change any values. Everything is set it up. So I continue. So the normal tooth library is loaded. So here I can start with the tooth placement. Also, if I'm not happy with this new or with this loaded library, I can always click in the background to load custom model teeth. And over here you can see, for an example, that's the generic library, which one is automatically loaded. And if I'm open a drop-down menu, you can see we have a lot of nice shapes inside. In the Plovdiv release, especially is the Exofan library included. And also over here we have the Psaris library and also the Psaris Edgy. It's a nice shape, yeah, with a little bit more characteristic. And if you like to use one of these ones, you can easily change the library. So I will load these ones. So then I will start with the tooth placement. So to show the new function, I will not place the tooth on the perfect position, maybe for this situation. Here I can scale my teeth. Also possible to scale it in one direction by holding Shift and Control together. And I can rotate. Yeah. So I will place it a little bit. So maybe also a little bit next to the die to see really the difference of this setting. So this gap is okay. So if I'm okay, I continue. As you can see, the software is starting to adapt or pull this tooth to the margin. And you can see I have lost my shape of the tooth. As you can see, this one will stay as it is. And this one is a little bit deformed because of the tooth positioning. Okay, what I can do is I can freeform here. This is the normal step, but I will continue directly. Also the adaptation can be done. Here I can cut the intersections and then I continue. So here in the next step we generate the Whittle wax up bottom part. So we can see the insertion direction also. And directly I continue and the software is generating this wax up model. Takes a little bit time. There's a new step here if I'm choosing this function or this parameter. So here we can check our full anatomic frame. So okay, so it's so far finished. So, okay. Calculation is running. As you can see, the tooth will change to another color. Wax up scan also, but it's the same. It doesn't change. You can see right now the software is adapting the crown to the margin. And if I'm continue, you have once again your freeform step where you can smooth, for an example, this small edge. Also over here, if you like to smooth it a little bit, you can use the normal freeform function. Also really important to know is here we have tooltips. If you go on top of this small button, you can see with the shift key, it's the speed function from the smoothing, and also if I'm holding control, as you can see, this lumen is changing to a blue color. If I'm pressing the control, the software is protecting the shape, and it's not removing material. Shift is the speed function, and control, you can protect the shape. Especially in Germany, we're having a lot of telescopes, the German crowns, and if we are smoothing on top, we can smooth the frame without destroying the shape. Also possible to use it if you have a custom abutment and you would like to smooth it a little bit on top to protect the frame. You can always hold the control button. So the rest is the same, we know it, so we continue, and the software is saving and merge our framework. So that's it. Here I can say I'm done. I can start again the freeform restoration, and also the expert mode is available. But in this case, I will say I'm finished for today. This 2 crowns will be saved. Also over here, you can find the crown and the wax up SLM crown here also on top. So, okay, for the second case, where we use our new possibility with this preserve library shape, I will choose this 3-element implant bridge. Here we have selected screw retained and cervical adaptation. Yes, we will protect. Here in between we have a pontic, and here it's the same. Okay, so we will start the design. Okay, so I will load my scan. As you can see, the scan bodies are loaded, and my scan here, as always, we have the short keys on the keyboard. With A, we can hide and show the antagonist. We have the scan, and also over here in the checkbox, we can hide and show and change the transparency also of the scans. The first step, what we have to do is we have to detect the implant position. Over here, important to know, we have the full library, and also what it's possible to do if you start with the full library and you choose, for an example, 1, you can select this small star and you will find this type in your favorite list. And if you open the favorite list, maybe you will have a smaller selection. Here, one important note, we have here download more libraries, but also I will open our web page again. On our web page, you can see integration and DentalCAD library integration. Here you can see we have a lot of components, and we have more than 2,900 libraries included. Here we will update all the libraries. All the time we will have new ones, and if in your libraries maybe one missing, you can check our web page. On our web page you can open, for an example, with the D selections of these companies, and if you open this drop-down menu, you can also see that they are updated in March. That's also important to know that we always update our libraries, and also we will have some more, and you have really to check on our webpage which one is the actually one, and you can download the latest one. Important is that you have an update contract of your dongle, and then it's free to download. There's also something new. We will show it in another session, but anyway, we have here also the Exoplan libraries included where you can download the libraries, and brand new is here also for the full dentures, the libraries. As you can see, we have a lot of libraries included with the Plovdiv release. Maybe one is missing actually, and here on this page you can download another one also on top. Okay, but important here, I have the DES implant, so that means I will choose the DES RP. That's my type of scan body. So I have to click once on the scan body, and if I'm pressing on the keyboard my control button and the best fit matching, the software is showing me the matching result. Also with this linear, you can see the fitting or the matching is really, really great. So everything is set up, we can continue. So on the second die or on the second scan body, I will do something unnormal. I will not use the DES. I will use, for an example, anti-trading titanium or titanium base to show you a new function, which one is available since Plovdiv. So I've chosen the anti-trading 4.5 titanium base. I can click once over here. I'm using also the best fit matching, but they will not fit, for sure not, but it's okay. I can see the position is, it's quite okay. So if I'm continue, also later on during the design, if the tooth placement is already done and I'm realizing, okay, I've done a mistake, maybe I've chosen the wrong library, I have here in expert mode, the scan I will hide. In expert mode, I have the possibility to switch the implant connection library. Important note, this switch is not possible with every library. For an example, anti-trading is possible at the moment, and these libraries will be updated also in the near future. Here you can see, if I'm open this menu, you can once rotate your titanium base. In this case, it's not so important. It's a normal straight titanium base, but maybe in the future we will have also angulated included. And then you can really switch or you can rotate your titanium base. That's one really nice option. And in this case, for an example, maybe you can have realized that's not the right size. I have chosen 4.5, but in real I have a 3.8. And I can switch it. In this library, it's possible to do it, it's allowed. So I have chosen the 3.8, okay, and then I can continue. That's new in Plovdiv. So, but here I will continue with my design. So here I have to define my emergence profile. I will choose two ways. So one by clicking on 4 points on the gingiva. The software is showing me the result, and with correct and draw, you have the possibility to, for an example, change the position or the height of this emergence profile. Most of the time, you will have this curve a little bit deeper inside, and for this, I will show you also the second in another way. If you choose directly correct and draw, you can draw your curve freehand, and you can do the correct positioning and the correct height for this emergence profile. That's one option, and you don't have to correct it afterwards. Only a little bit, okay? That's the second option, which one you can use. So we continue. Here in this case, tooth copy or copy tooth is not really recommended because there is nothing here. So we will continue and we will load the normal tooth library. So here we have the simple mode. That's one option, and also we have the chain mode, which one is available. So you can grab all the teeth, you can move them simultaneously. If I've chosen one, for example, contact point, I can lock my small point here, and then I can change the rest. So you have here possibilities to change the position, you can change the height, you can also scale and also rotate the frame. Everything is open. So if I'm okay with this position, so let me check here, I will change this a little bit. In this case, I place my library tooth a little bit next to the implant. That's the most important point why we use this new function. It's often that the implant position is not directly, or the tooth is not directly on top of the implant in most of the cases, and then it's hard to do a nice framework. And if we have chosen this nice new function or parameter, we don't have to care about this. So we continue. And the next step is to generate the abutment bottom. So I will hide also anatomy. So here we have some functions. We have these control points. Actually, they are fixed to the gingiva. They are marked in pink. If I'm deactivating this point, I can free move this control point in any direction. As you can see here, it's not locked to the gingiva. If I'm activating this point again, then it's locked to the gingiva part. That's one option. So over here, without the scan, we can check the bottom part. Here with these small icons, we can change our form by clicking many times. We can really make it big, or also we can change the concave or convex shape. And here with the sliders also, it's possible to change the bottom part. But really nice also, this feature I like really much. Here also again in the expert mode, if I'm clicking on tooth number 16, I can open freeform emergence profile. And in this second tab, I can select offset 0 or plus or minus, and I can adapt the emergence profile to my gingiva, as you can see. And we will do it also on the second one. Adapt. And then we have a perfect fitting to 0 to the gingiva. Okay, so over here, we will also use adapt Pontic occlusal approximately. Here, what I can do, I can select cut all intersection, and the software will do the rest. But only one important information also good to know is here approximately. What we can do is we can block out neighbor collision, then the software will block out the adjacent teeth. And also possible to activate is here the disc cutter. They will be directly imported, and here with the disc cutter you can control your contact point. Also without the antagonist it's possible. If you really like to change the contact really flat or a little bit less, you can use one of these disc cutters and control your contact point. So, but here I will choose cut all intersections, and I will continue. So also over here we have the virtual wax up bottom part. I will start it directly. The software starts to calculate, takes a little bit time. and then we can continue with our design. Okay. This is done. So we are in the next wizard step. Here we can select the depth of our shrinkage. It's 0.8. That's the default parameter. I'm okay with this parameter. If I'd like to change it, I can use the slider. Also possible is to select or exclude selected parts. If you would like to have only vestibular shrinkage, you can choose it over here. Yeah. So, but we continue directly. So, in the next step, in the freeform step, once again, we can change anything. If we see, okay, maybe the pontic is not well positioned, we can select entire tooth for an example, or we can choose something else. But here we will continue directly. So in one of the last steps, we have the connectors. I will deactivate the True Smile. Here you can see in the yellow color, really nice is the connector. The connector has a minimum area of 9 millimeter. I have a shape, a round shape. If I'd like to choose another one, you can apply or you can change the thickness. So we have another option over here. For an example, if I'm choosing the shift or I'm holding the shift key, I can bend my connector in one direction, but the connection will be fixed. And with this control button, I can use the center of the connector to place it in another position, for example. Yeah. Right now it's red because it's less than the minimum thickness or the minimum area, which one I'd like to have. I will reposition it. And if I like to choose also more options here in the freeform tab, I can open every single control point and change the shape of my connector. With the colors, I can see how is the minimum region. It's 8.8. It's quite good. And we can continue. So over here, the software is also generating the wax up frame. And as you can see, it's still open over here. In this step, the software is connecting the frame with the implant. But the tooth shape will be like this, and it's not deformed. Over here, you can see the result. In the last step, I have the freeform, or one of the last steps, I have the freeform function again. If I don't like this small gap, I can go back. Ability to choose anatomic, and then the screw hole will be adapted to this anatomic shape, also to the framework. I can also switch it off. That's also one possibility. But normally, the most of the customers are using the frame. Yeah. Here with these control points, you have the possibility to change it, unfix it, and then you can also change it in the height if you really like to design it individually. So, but here we continue. So the software is merging and saving the STL file. Here in the freeform restoration, one more time, the software has saved the STL file. It's one element, And it's really nice if you open again the smooth tool, you can smooth the whole frame, yeah, without any gap or something else. Here, if I'm continue, yes, I will save this frame. I will show you also a nice feature in expert mode. If I'm selecting expert mode, we have two possibilities. Once here in the bottom part, we can, at first, we have to delete the reconstruction, but this one is meaning only that we delete our saved STL files, not that we delete everything from the beginning. It's only that we reactivate our frame. And here, I have all possibilities in my toolbar. As you can see, I can start with the implant detection step. Also, I can load another tooth placement. Everything is still open, and you can open for this project, for an example, gingiva design or reduce or reduction. Also possible is here by clicking directly on the tooth. Now I have to. For an example, here, tooth number 14, I can only load or open the reduce tooth function for this tooth. The same here, as you can see, the connector is shown in red. Maybe I have to check what is going on. Here I can check once delete the connector, but also possible is to open this connector step. And then I can check the size and the position and so on. Everything is still here and possible to change. Also, yeah, here switch implant geometry is also in the last step. It's available. Yeah, I have done my frame. It's totally finished. And if I'm realizing, okay, there was something wrong, I have to rotate it. Then I have this option again and I can switch it. Yeah, it's really easy. Once again, not every library have these possibilities. You have to check if you are up to date. And then also maybe you have to check with the implant manufacturer, is this library possible to use or to switch it. This one you have to check with the supplier or with your reseller. So once again, I will merge and save the restoration. I'm done with my changes. I will save everything once again. I'm done and I'm back here. So what I can do is I can save it, but I will stay here. Maybe we have some questions or something which one I have to show again. I will ask my colleagues.
Yeah, great job, Tina. Yeah, we do have a few questions here.
Okay.
Actually, we had a couple questions. This isn't completely pertinent to the webinar, but a couple of people asked if they change settings in DB, does that stay that way for all cases, or is that just for that one case that we're designing?
Okay, yeah. If I have my client, for an example, or I choose new one, okay? So I have my default client and test. And if I'm choosing, for an example, anatomic crown and the material, and I change this value to 0.7 minimum thickness or another gap parameter or something else, and I'm saving this one, and I have my next case with new. I save this project, yes. So I have once again the default client, test 2. And I'm open this framework one more time. As you can see on the material, the parameter is shown in yellow, and it's informing me that I have chosen another parameter before for this client and for this work type. Yeah. What you can do is also over here, we can reset the values to the material defaults. If I have changed something and I'm not happy with this, I have done maybe a mistake, I can always switch to the default parameter. But important to know, this parameter I've chosen for the anatomic crown, for this material and for this client. And this parameter will be always reopened. I hope that's okay so far. Maybe another question? I can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. That's
Yes.
Okay, so next question, is it possible for the show distances tool, where it shows the color map on the anatomy surface, is it possible to see that on copings or the substructure? I don't think that is, but if you would like to.
I'm not sure. You mean also the you see the intersection. You can see the context, and here over you can see it a little bit. You can use the scaling and the factor, and you can change this one. Also, you do the adjacencies. And also over here you can include the healthy teeth, and then you can see also the distance a little bit, and you have a color mapping also. Yeah, I think it's okay to use something like this.
You said another question come in. They're asking the difference in DB and entering the parameters for the pull down to margin tool. I think you showed that, but maybe just recap on what the difference was on the margin adaptation selection there.
Here important, if I'm choosing any kind of frame, anatomic crown, for example, I have here pull to margin. If I'm placing my library tooth, the software is adaptation the framework or this tooth to my margin line, for example, and it's sometimes deforming my shape. And if I'm choosing preserve tooth library, the shape will stay like it is, and only the tooth will be completed. Yeah, that's important to know. And absolutely important, we have often the case that we have difficult implant situations or implant positions, and the tooth is sometimes or have to be on another position, and then if we choose this new parameter, it's really nice to design it, without losing the position of the library teeth. Before, in the previous, in the Matera release, for example, we have chosen often anatomic wax-up or reduced wax-up, but a lot of customers didn't notice what it means exactly. Yeah. Also here, what's possible to choose, scan wax-up. No, we will design it digitally, but it was not easy to understand what it means, and no one was using this feature. And for this reason, we decided to include this new topic here. If you choose copying or anatomic, to have this cervical adaptation and preserve tooth library shape. Yeah, that's important to know. Something
Another
else?
good question
Next
here.
one?
Yeah. After designing the case, is it possible to see what type of abutment you selected back in the beginning?
Yes. You have different ways. One is over here, abutment. You can see right-click. You can see some information, material name, for example, implant library, and you can see this type I have chosen. Yeah, this is here in my list by right-click, implant library. That's one option. But also if I'm choosing over here, I can also delete the constructed parts again. It's no problem. If I'm choosing here, detect implant position, you are back in this step, and you can see the latest one, which one I have chosen. Yeah, if you are not sure which one you have chosen or you would like to change, you can reopen this one and you can switch here. But more important is to know here, right click and then implant library, and then you have a nice information over here. Yeah, I think that's...
Let's see what else we have here. There's someone asking about the disc cutter tool, if it's possible, if you can show that and maybe explain if it's possible to cut one contact with the disc cutter and how do you make sure that it's right on the contact where you want it?
Okay, so I will, I have opened again the freeforming. So I will hide the antagonist. So adaptation, you have approximately, you have this cutter, and you can, yeah, for an example, move one completely away, yeah, if you don't need it, yeah. You can also delete it by holding left and click right. And if you have the second or only one, you can control by positioning this cutter in this position, yeah. You can rotate, for an example. Okay, it's a little bit difficult because I don't have an contact here, but if you have one, for an example, then you can control it also over here. You can check with your chassis tilts. You can change the disc, the position, and then you can, yeah, use this disc cutter and cut all intersection. And then it will be cutted on this disc. And to have really a nice flat contact point for full anatomic crowns, it's really nice to use this tool, yeah, the disc cutter tool. And important is also you check the insertion direction, and you can check here that you don't yeah, have some undercuts. Yeah. Next one. No, I don't hear you. Sorry, Lucas.
Is it possible to change the overall minimum thickness of the framework after it's been calculated at the end?
Yes, I will start here. You have minimum thickness. If you click or right-click minimum thickness, you have the minimum value for this material is 0.4. If you choose this one, you can apply, and the software is recalculating this framework. Also, if you need more, you can say apply, okay, and the software is recalculating. Yeah, but definitely we will have a minimum, over here, minimum thickness for this material is 0.4, and you can't go less than this, yeah, because we recommend to use 0.4 for zircon oxide. But it's also possible on the end of the design. Right click and that's it.
Another good question, let's see. Is it possible to design a 2-unit bridge using the preserve shape function in DB on a single implant?
Yes, sure, definitely. You can use it. It's always available. You have to have this Plovdiv release. But if you have only one crown or copying or crown, for an example, and you would like to choose here custom abutment or screw attained, you have here this preserve tooth library shape. You can select this and you can start to design your frame. No problem. It's always available with Plovdiv.
Let's see what else we have here. Somebody asking if it's question about how to design the emergence profile in the anatomy step for the case. It sounds like maybe they're unclear on the options of changing the emergence profile.
Okay.
Would it be possible to show that step?
Okay, let me check.
Slightly unclear, yeah, let's see.
Freeform emergence profile, this is one option. You can, it's activated again. So you can add material here. And if you click on the Adapt tab, you can cut emergence profile on scan, and the software will adapt this part. That's one option. But on top, this is only the free-forming. The second one, let me check. This one we don't need. This one also I will hide. So over here we have, let me check. No, here, sorry, I haven't seen it. Abutment bottom. Yes, I will, No, sorry. So here we have the normal wizard step. Here you can choose the shape. And with this control points, I have placed this margin before, and here you can see these control points. They are connected or adapted to the gingiva. They are shown here in this in this pink color. If I'm active or deactivating by holding control and this small control point here, I can deactivate or activate, adapt or not adapting, and then I'm free. And then I can also control it to make it bigger than the M-Against profile and the scan. That's another option. Or I'm deactivating this point again, and then they are adapted to the scan. Also, if you need another point here, I can also click in between. I can move these points. I can also go up and down or out and in. I have here a lot of possibilities. One small point is advanced. This is also one value for the height of this M-Against profile. As you can see here, we have 0.2. If I'm like to change this a little bit more thinner, then I can switch to 0.05, one example, or 0.1. And the radius, it's always set it, or the default parameter is always 0. But here, if I'm choosing, for an example, a value, we have something like an offset. But this one is not recommended. If you like to polish it later on, yes, maybe. But normally the value is set it to 0. Yeah, and here's also the possibility to angle the screw channel. That's also in this step. You can see clickable. Also really, really important to know, in our libraries, which one you get, we have restrictions. Also, if this screw channel can be angulated or not. And also the value, how many degrees you can angulate, is also included in the library. Some libraries have the possibility to click 15 degrees, sometimes 20 or 25, but this one depending on the company. Not every library producer will allow that you have an angle of 25. Yeah, maybe only 15. Yeah, this is also included in the library. It's not possible to change also. Only the supplier of the implant can select, yes, you can angle the screw channel and how many. That's it. That's important to know. So, something else? I can't hear you.
If it's possible to go over how you can change the insertion direction of an abutment. Somebody asking about that again.
Insertion direction of the abutment. Okay. I don't have an abutment. It's a screw retained. That's a screw retained. I don't have an insertion direction, but normally.
Can't show that now.
Yes, I can't show it right now. But anyway, it's the same. You will have another wizard step where you can choose the insertion direction of the abutment. And it's the same also if you have done it before and you would like to change it later on, right click in the background, or more important maybe to click directly on the tooth, which one you would like to change. And then there is another option, but I'm not sure how is the naming, but insertion direction of the abutment. It's possible to activate it. In this case, it's not possible because this is screw retained bridge.
Yeah, sure.
But, yeah.
Another question I think we might be able to show, somebody asking if it's possible to measure or show the pressure of the soft tissue for the bottom part of the abutment. Maybe that visibility setting.
Yes, that's one thing. Okay, I don't have pressure right now, but here definitely is abutment bottom. You can see, I will reset, yes. We have visualization. And here you can see a little bit, here's a little bit of pressure, yeah. That's one thing, but it is only roundabout. But more important, which one is really nice, the tool cut view. That means here you can set a cut view also with the scan. And here in this step, as you can see, this is my pressure to the gingiva actually. And here with this measurement tool, you can measure it and you can see, okay, I have changed a lot, but you can see I have here 0.396. And if I'm changing this one, also immediately you will see in the cut view, it will change. Yeah, and this feature is really nice to use. You can go over it and you can check how it is, how much pressure you have with this cut view window. Yeah, and you can go through this scan or the mesh. Yeah, it's over here. And here it's the measurement tool also. Yeah, so I deactivated it again. I guess this is quite nice to measure it.
Yeah, great tool.
Yeah.
Looks like we're almost.
You can measure everything. You can everywhere you can set a cut view and to check, okay, how does it looks like? And this cut view window is really nice. It's good to use it. Yeah.
Is it possible to change the pull down to margin setting during design, or is that only back in DB?
No. As I told you maybe at the beginning, you haven't been there, it's always possible in expert mode. Right now it's not possible because I haven't chosen it, or I have chosen it, but yes, it's not possible to see it. I will open my presentation, my small, Here you can see, in this case, I have done the tooth placement, or in this tooth placement step, I'm realizing, oh, that's not really good. And I have not chosen this new function on this new parameter. And in expert mode, you click on the background or on the tooth, right click, and then you can choose library model to Prontex, and then the software will convert it, and you have this, protection of the tooth. Yeah, that's it.
Looks like maybe time for one more quick one here. Somebody's asking, what is the difference between 3-4 axis material and 5-axis material in DB? Why should we choose a different axis setting?
Okay, really important setting which you have to set up. Oh no, I go back. So if you have a 4-axis machine, if you have a 4-axis machine, you definitely have to choose 4-axis. If you have 5-axis machine, you can choose here 5-axis laser or 3D printing. The difference between 3 and 4-axis is that for the 3-axis machine, if you have a bridge, for an example, I will load one. It's better to see. Or loading. Let me check. Really quick, but it's really important to show it. I will load this one. Don't save. Design. So. Okay, it's still loading. No, expert mode. So, I have to continue quickly. Okay, so the margin line is selected. Here on top of the crowns, you can see two green arrows. These arrows are showing the insertion direction. In this case, I have chosen 5-axis machine, and the 5-axis machine can mill each crown in one direction. It's not only one position. The machine is positioning for each crown. That means they are separately. As you can see, the arrows are different. If you have chosen 5-axis machine, but you have only 4-axis machine, they will not fit because you will have undercuts. Also important to know, if you have a small frame, it's okay to work like this. But if you have maybe 3, 4, 5 dies, we always recommend to choose set insertion direction by clicking in the background. As you can see, here is the insertion direction only of one crown, and here I can switch to the second one. Okay, but if I'm having 5 dies and maybe they are not really straight, we recommend to choose or to check also both. Yeah, you can select also unique insertion direction, for an example, and then you can check the insertion direction for the whole frame. If they are not really good, the dies, and you have also milled in 5-axis, they will not fit. Yeah, and for this reason, this menu is always available by clicking in the background and set insertion direction. Yeah, but anyway, you will see also on the screen arrows on top the insertion direction, and if they are really different, you have to check this value, or you have to check the insertion in totally.
Sounds good. I think we still have quite a few questions coming in, but for the relevant questions, we'll try to go over and answer those by email response.
Or is there a good one? We have 1 minute more minute, or for me it's fine.
Let's see.
Or we will answer by email. That's also okay.
The connector. Several people asking, why does it show up in red at the end?
Yeah,
sometimes.
If I have chosen, for an example, 9mm as my minimum thickness or size of my connector, and I have chosen or changed some parts, maybe the connector is only 8.8. It's still fine because it's close to 9, but it's shown in red. That's the only thing. It's not a problem. But if you see it's red, it's better to check if it's really less than the minimum region, which one I like to have, or only a little bit. And then I can continue. Yeah.
Let's see what else we can answer quickly here. Mm-hmm. Is it possible to change the screw channel diameter at that step, the screw hole?
The screw hole, not really. You can change if it's adapted to the frame or to the anatomic shape. You can turn it off, but the dimension is also connected to the library. If you have an angulated screw channel, then there is a possibility to set up a special setting where you can change the shape if it's more edgy or more round. But for this, you have to contact your reseller. They will give you support. Yeah. Normally we have a normal default parameter, but it's possible to change it a little bit.
Let's see. Is it possible to have exocad show the set insertion direction step every time? Or
yes,
do we have to go to expert mode?
No, if you have chosen 3 and 4 axis, yes, the software will show this step. If you have chosen 5 axis, the software will try to do it by itself. But if you have chosen 3 and 4 axis, you will always see this setting or this wizard step. If you will see, or if you would like to have this step, you can choose it, or you set it to 3 and 4 axis. It's not a problem. It's always possible to set it to 3 and 4 axis. And if you mill it in 5 axis, it's okay. But if you have set it to 5 axis and you mill it only in 4 axis, maybe it will not fit on the end. That's the important point to know. So.
Yeah, maybe one last quick one here. That
Okay.
red minimum thickness setting that showed up, is it possible to design your material thinner than that?
No. No,
or ignore
the
that.
minimum,
Yeah.
yes, minimum thickness is minimum thickness. We will protect this one. That's also important, because if you have less thickness and the frame will break during milling or during the producing,
Yeah,
we will lose
compromise your
money. And
strength.
no, this is absolutely safe and give you all the freedom. You don't have to take